Okay, so starting at the gate, there's our shed. Our fig tree is doing really well. It's pruned a little strangely because we've got a blackbird nesting in half and I couldn't bear to prune it and disturb the bird. So you can see we've got a bit more gravel down now, and the garden beds are all looking quite busy and full. We've got a rose that's, I don't know if you can see it, starting to climb over the gate. Our espaliered pear and apples are doing quite well. Some cornflowers. We've got the other espalier down there. And then you can see in this bed here I've got some onions and some red curry pumpkins, some butternut pumpkins, and that bumblebee just sitting there. It's enjoying the flowers on our parsnip that we're letting go to seed. This is the asparagus that is just going off. This is the second year it's been in, so hopefully next year we'll be able to eat some of it. So round we go. We've built, that's what we call it, Crystal Palace actually. It's a structure to grow all our vegetables up. But it's not quite finished. We just actually need to take it over to the fence there. So I've got some corn growing. That's popcorn. So it's red, little red popcorns, which should be quite interesting. Then we've got some pumpkins, more pumpkins. I've got pumpkins growing up the structure. Got a red one and red curry and a butternut there. You can see the asparagus and some pretty little flowers. Then we've got cucumbers growing up the side. These are apple cucumbers, so they're sort of round. And then we've got lots of tomatoes. We've got some of the tomatoes in sort of tomato nappies. You can see they're going a little bit red, hopefully. But the birds decided they look very tasty, so so we've had to put protection there. So we've got 3 different varieties. We've got a cherry, which is tomato. Then we've got Alma, which is a plum tomato, and at the back we've got a big knobbly ox heart, which is like a large beefsteak tomato. And then up through here we've got some blue lake beans, which are doing really well. We're having trouble keeping up. And these ones are market wonder beans, which are not doing that well actually, but they get hit with a lot of wind. We still need to do some protection there. As you can see, we still have our resource centre going strong. We've got the drop saw out because we're just doing some work at the moment. And that unit up there, the square unit, is the sink unit, which just needs painting. So I'm going to whiz you around, sorry about this, but the sink unit basically sits there underneath that tap generally, so we can wash the veg before we take them in. So here we've got some spinach that's going to seed, and some broccoli that's finished, and a few snap peas that are pretty much finished. That's Jerusalem artichokes in the back, along the back there. Some parsley, a couple of aubergine there, some trying to grow some melons there. They did really well last year, but this year not so well. More tomatoes. Just turning you around from this angle. So on this bed we've got a couple of courgettes at the other side there. One side is doing really poorly and one side's gone mad, but anyway. And we've got more tomatoes here. These are leftover tomatoes that I put in anyway. And then, as you can see here, we've got some red onions. They're pretty much over now. They're falling over, so I'll be ready to harvest soon. Then we've got some peppers and some chilies. They're not doing brilliantly, I must admit, but they had a lot of attack by the birds. But anyway, and that's a random self-seeded tomato over there. And then you can see along the wall, that's my lavender hedge. We bought very tiny seedlings because it was quite expensive otherwise, and then we're growing it from there. And then the rosemary over the edge of the wall is from cuttings that my daughters went and snaffled from around the neighbourhood. So I'm just wishing you around a little bit more. You can see the resource centre is getting less. There's less stuff. That's a bit more Crystal Palace there, and a few things need to go on Trade Me, and the washstand to paint and put back. But yeah, we're getting there. So this is going down the garden, but it's all getting quite tall now. And then we have these little steps here which go down. Some little steps here. I'll try not to fall down. Whoop. And then you can see here We have, this is a big rose, Madame Alfred Carrier, and it's had lots of beautiful blooms on. They smell delightful. And then we've also, along this side of the wall, we've got, this one is Dublin Bay, and again that's a climber. It has some beautiful blooms on that. It doesn't smell, that one, but it is very lovely. And then we've got, coming down here, we've got some grapes. They're doing really well. They're almost at the top of the pergola now, so next year they should be on it. Some tangerines there coming right. That next one's an orange tree. And we've also planted a banana. This is what I like to call my food forest. It's basically the sort of the rough bit which I throw anything I've got left over in. That's a plum at the top, some rhubarb. That's an elderberry tree. There's some yams growing, some sweet potatoes. What else is up there? There's a few potatoes. And then in the banana bed we've got another courgette and some pumpkins. That's a lime tree there, which is just starting. And that is a bougainvillea, which is a dwarf bougainvillea. So I'm hoping it really takes off and goes nicely up that little bit of fence. And then round the corner you can see, so it's like I've got everything's very tiny. That's a climbing jasmine, which is hopefully going to go up the pergola. This actually cops quite a lot more wind than we imagined, so we've actually had to change this top bit. A lemon's come out and the other lemon's going to come out because it's not doing very well. We've got herbs and things down here, and then we've got a little pond which is actually really dry. We haven't much water in it at the moment. And then down here, this is our berry area, so we've got blackberries and raspberries, and then that bit at the end is what I like to call my meadowlet. It's a very small wildflower meadow, so it's where it's for the bugs to and there's a swan plant, so hopefully we'll get butterflies and everything. Apparently we have caterpillars, so looking good. And then we've got red currants as well. There's 3 red currants in here, and strawberries as well. Although we're not getting many strawberries at the moment because I think the birds are having them all. But the plan is to construct a fruit cage. So when you look down there, sort of just past the pond, there'll be a fruit cage where those berries are. And then back along the front, I've still got to finish painting the pergola. It's a job that needs to do. It's a bit tricky because I have to get right at the top of a very long ladder and then wobble about on the top, which is a bit yuck. So that is half part of a chicken coop that's in production. And we've just moved, that's an almond tree, we just moved it yesterday, so it's looking a bit sad. And those are my garlic, but they've got rust. And then we've got another rose there, that's birthday present. And then those are some sunflowers, and that's a double grafted apple there as well. And again we've got a lemon there. These are all herbs around the outside, so this is coriander that's going to seed, and you can probably see little corianders on there now, which are will turn into the coriander pods that you cook with. So that's the other grape that's going right up to the top. And I've got some sweet potatoes in the buckets. That pod there is my, that's got salad in it, so I keep all the lettuce in the shade in the summer because it gets really quite warm here. And then behind it are 4 avocado trees in a family grouping, but they get sunburnt when they're young, so that's why they have a little shade over them. And that's our latest construction project, which was the wood store. We just need to put the roof on it, but at the moment we're just putting it on with plastic. So any wood from our wood pile, you can't even see it for the vegetation, but the wood pile over there, any bits that aren't good and a bit rubbish, we basically chop it up for firewood, and the rest of it we use for construction projects like Crystal Palace. And I need to be making a table for down there on the patio. We still need to have, you can see we've got our steps in now. They will silver, they're macrocarpa, so they will silver, go to a light grey colour. And also there'll be another 100 millimetres of surface on top of here, which is a sort of a sandy colour. It's like hoggin, it's the stuff that they have at National Trust properties in the UK. So that needs to be put down yet. And sorry, swinging around again, this weird edging that I've got going, that's just really so I could define the beds. But you can see that recycled plastic edging there. I need to take all these bricks out and then put in the recycled plastic edging, and then we can get the hog in and finish that off. And then, oh, and I've also just got to paint the back of the carport, because as you can see it's a bit green still, so it needs to be the pale blue like the rest of the fence. So that's pretty much the garden, I think, at the moment. Hopefully that's given you a little snapshot of where we are at the moment. All looking very productive, and we're already harvesting quite a lot from the garden, so yeah, very pleased.